Hello, Cherries fans, and welcome to the first in a series of new shows I'm going to be putting on where I delve a little bit deeper into the stats and numbers behind some of the performances in our upcoming games in the Premier League season, and maybe a look a bit deeper into some of the players' performances as well. But first, a bit of an introduction. Going to look at XG today. What is it, and why do we use it? Well, XG is a probability score given to any shot that is taken on the chance that it will actually end up in a goal. Now, probabilities, as you may remember from your GCSE or O-level maths, are always given on a scale from 0 to 1, with 0 being a guarantee that it will never happen, and 1 being a guarantee that it will always happen. Now, as with most things, there are no guarantees in life, so you will never see a shot with an XG score of 0 or 1. Even a shot like this that we may fondly remember was only given a 0.97 XG score, because although Callum Wilson scored this goal, someone somewhere in history has missed that shot before. But how do we generate an XG score? So here, Opta gives a list of data points that it will use to compare a shot that's taken with the tens of thousands of shots going back decades that they have data on, and try and determine the likelihood that a goal is scored from that position. So we look at things like the distance to the goal, the angle the shot was taken from, which part of the body was used, even more recently the pattern of play involved in the build-up. Now, two things to be very clear on in these models is that first, there are variations depending on what models are used. Different websites use different data points, and some are more complex than others. The other thing to consider is that a player's ability is not considered in these models. So if a shot is taken with his weaker foot, that doesn't matter. And similarly, a shot taken by Dom Solanke in the Championship is given the same XG score as a shot taken by Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi, as long as it's taken from the same spot under the same conditions. Now, just to give some examples of what scores are given for certain shots. This is our match against Huddersfield earlier on last season. And in our first goal from this game, Jadon Anthony here is going to score from just inside the 6-yard box on this left-hand side, so a bit of an angle, from an open play cross from the right. The fact that it's on his weaker foot doesn't matter, and historically this is finished slightly better than 1 in 2. It's given a score of 0.51 to 0.55 depending on the website. You might think professional footballers would score better than that, get better than those odds, but the data shows this isn't the case. Now, our second goal here from Jefferson Lerma is a volley from just outside the box. Again, it's with his weaker foot, that doesn't matter, but the fact that it's a volley does mean it's less likely to be scored because it's more difficult technique-wise. Now, depending on the model that's used, some may or may not consider the fact that there are two defenders in front of him, which is going to mean it's less likely to be scored if you consider those data points. And maybe a more advanced model might consider Lee Nichols here is actually still yet to recover properly from the shot Dominic Solanke took a couple seconds earlier, meaning that it's probably a slightly higher chance of being scored from this particular opportunity. And that reflects on the websites that I've seen. Some models have given this at about a 3% chance, of 0.03, and others have given it about a 9% chance, 0.09. Again, it depends on the complexity of the model. Now, our third goal, here, Dominic Solanke scores in a slightly different way than is your average finish, but that isn't considered. The fact that it was a back heel flick behind his standing leg isn't the thing that's important in this shot. It's that it was from open play, across from the left, that was low, and finished with his foot. The fact that there's a defender here may mean that the score is different depending on the model, but overall this is given about a 0.15 probability, so slightly better than a 1 in 7 chance of being scored from this spot under those conditions across historical data. Now, what you can do then is at the end of the game, total up those XG scores for all shots, and in this game we got about a 1.6-ish score rating depending on the model. Now that means that we overperformed in terms of the goals that we scored compared to the quality of chances that were created. Obviously, for those of us that watch that game, 3-0 doesn't necessarily flatter us, but it does show that we were at least decent finishers in that game compared to the quality of chances that were created. That certainly isn't going to be the case every time we play. Now, what you can then do is not only look at XG scores for a team, but also look at it for individuals. This is the data from the Championship last season for the top several scorers in terms of XG value. Now here, Mitrovic was top, Dominic Solanke was second, we have Karlan Grant and a few others. And you'll see that Solanke, Karlan Grant, Viktor Gyökeres, many others in this list, if you keep going down, will have underperformed their XG. Because as the saying goes, scoring is the most difficult thing to do in football. But you get things the other way around, where scorers like Andreas Weimann were very impressive in their overperformance of what would be expected of them, and obviously Aleksandar Mitrovic as well. So what you could do maybe, if you're interested in looking a bit deeper into a forward we're looking to sign, is have a look and see what his XG scores was. Maybe he scored 10 goals in a season, but look at his XG. Was that 5, in which case he looks like a great finisher and overperforming? Or was his XG 15, in which case actually he significantly underperforms? Maybe there's other aspects of his game that are more important for the team that we're looking at bringing into the club. But that's just some ideas. It's something you can delve deeper into now that you've got a little bit of an introduction to what XG is. So, I hope that was interesting. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a like. And if you have any feedback for me, positive or negative, I'm hoping to do more of these. Please leave me a comment and let me know what you think I could do better. But anyway, I hope you have a good day and look forward to seeing you soon. Up the cherries.